I knew my entire career was about to explode the second Brody walked into my server room smelling like cheap cologne and unearned power. He looked at the glowing servers that kept our massive logistics company alive and sneered as if the machinery was beneath him. The young heir had no idea that a silent countdown was already ticking in the code. My name is Vivian, and I have spent 15 years as the lead systems operations director of this shipping empire. While the younger tech workers worried about their aesthetic, I spent my nights keeping 40,000 hourly orders moving smoothly. I was the invisible glue holding the digital infrastructure together while others took the credit. The founder of the company was a tough man named Frank who built this business from one single truck. He respected my dedication, especially after I single-handedly saved us from a massive ransomware attack years ago. After that crisis, Frank and I quietly built a highly confidential emergency protocol into the primary operating network. We created a dead man's switch inside the system kernel that required my active digital signature every 48 hours. If my user account was disabled or deleted, the network assumed a hostile takeover was happening and automatically entered safe mode. In reality, safe mode was a total digital lockdown that would instantly freeze the entire enterprise. Everything changed when Frank suffered a stroke and his arrogant son Brody took control of the board. Brody immediately began replacing experienced workers with cheap algorithms and brought in an inept junior assistant named Jax. I could see the writing on the wall as HR Director Gail started asking me to document my entire role. The daily tension escalated because I refused to compromise basic cybersecurity protocols for the social media marketing campaigns of Brody. He openly mocked my focus on security and told me that my legacy thinking was holding the company back. I knew they were preparing to fire me when Jax began asking for my master administrative passwords. One afternoon, Gail marched into my office with a cold smile and summoned me to the glass conference room. Brody sat at the table looking at his phone while Jax sweated nervously next to him. Brody explained that my skills were no longer aligned with his new vision and handed me a severance package. They demanded my master credentials on the spot and threatened to withhold my severance if I did not comply. I tried to warn Brody about the danger of removing my account without following the proper transition steps. He laughed and ordered me to log out immediately because he believed any child could run my servers. I quietly created a new admin account for Jax and officially deactivated my own profile as they requested. I did not tell them that disabling my username triggered the 15-minute heartbeat countdown. I packed my desk and walked out of the building knowing the spaceship of Brody was about to lose power. As I drove home, the reality of the situation began to settle in my mind. I thought about the warehouse workers like Hank the forklift driver and Chloe the dispatcher who would suffer from this shutdown. My hand hovered over the phone to warn them, but the sting of the unfair betrayal was too fresh. Exactly 15 minutes after my departure, the public website of the company began to crawl to a complete stop. The system searched for my digital heartbeat, received a null response, and executed Protocol Omega. Suddenly, the automated conveyor belts in every warehouse stopped spinning, and the scanners displayed a critical system error. Hank called my personal phone in a panic, explaining that the entire shipping terminal had just frozen. I calmly informed him that I was terminated and no longer had the authority to log in. Within 30 minutes, the billing systems failed, and the company was losing thousands of dollars every single second. Inside the main office, Jax was desperately typing random commands while Brody screamed at him to fix the network. The CFO of the company, a practical man named Vance, realized they were about to default on a $40 million bank loan. The electronic doors locked them inside because even the building security ran on the network. Jax sent me a frantic email begging for the password to stop the catastrophic loop. I replied that I could not legally help but told him to look for the physical disaster manual in the safe. Brody eventually called me directly to demand the codes, but I told him the terminal required my physical fingerprint. The general counsel of the company page realized that Brody had willfully ignored my written security warnings. Vance called the chairman of the board, a powerful man named Dean, who was absolutely furious. Dean ordered Brody to call me back immediately and offer me whatever was necessary to restore the operating system. My laptop screen lit up with an urgent video conference invitation from the desperate board members. I looked at their panicked faces and calmly delivered my non-negotiable terms for saving their business. I demanded a massive consulting rate of $500 an hour, a doubled severance bonus, and complete technical autonomy. They signed the new contract and wired the money to my account within minutes. I drove back to the dark office, walked past a humbled Brody, and scanned my thumb on the master console. The red emergency screens instantly flashed green as the database reconnected and the warehouse engines roared back to life. On Monday, the board officially stripped Brody of his leadership authority and sent him to a minor marketing role. I now work comfortably from home, billing them a fortune while keeping their critical systems completely secure. The lesson is simple. Never disrespect the quiet professionals who actually know how to keep your world running.